Last week, I spoke about gratitude as a foundational stance of Unitarian Universalism. Our principles call us to understand life, the mystery of living on this planet, as good and glorious. We begin in gratitude, grateful for all the life-sustaining forces around us, sun and rain and earth and plants and animals. We begin in gratitude for other people, for being part of a community that cares for one another and the world. And this doesn't mean that we aren't aware that there is pain and suffering in the world. It doesn't mean we don't understand the struggles of life, and we know that people can be power hungry, deeply cruel, and do terrible harm. We know this. Beginning in a gratitude just means we practice appreciative inquiry. We turn towards the good to help us mitigate the worst. And in the Ojibwe teachings of Richard Wagamis, gratitude is seen as a powerful medicine, that when you become thankful for all that you have, you are reminding yourself you are part of everything. You are part of the great mystery of life. And Wagamis was taught by the elders to return always to a sacred ceremony of gratitude. An elder tells him, "Do this whenever you feel overwhelmed by things. Do it when you feel lonely. Do it when you are doubtful or when you're afraid. Center yourself on thankfulness all the way through, and this ceremony will lead you to wholeness. It always will." Gratitude brings us to wholeness, to a sense of being part of the interdependent web of life through our relationships with other people, creatures, and places. And when we're able to feel truly grateful, when we can see clearly how much good there is in our life, no matter how much awfulness there is too, that gratitude bubbles out into generosity. French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir considers it true generosity when you give your all and yet you always feel as if it costs you nothing. You give your all and it costs you nothing because the well doesn't run dry. Generosity arises from that sense of personal abundance and a sense of connectedness to the whole. And it's true, each of us has so much: a body to live in, senses to experience the world, loving hearts, not to mention access to fresh water, to a wide variety of food, to public transit, to electric lights and flush toilets. The list of all that we have is endless if we sit down and truly think about all the gifts we've been given. And I know there are enormous costs to this social abundance that we have, costs borne by other people and the earth, and some are excluded from this bounty even here. And I think that really makes it all the more vital that we're grateful and careful and gracious with all that we have been given. And really, when you think about it, knowing how much you receive from the planet, it's a wonder that we don't all kneel down and kiss the ground every morning in gratitude. With all that we are given, with all this abundance, we can pass it on with generosity and ease. And one aspect of generosity is that it's really about letting go. It's letting others' needs take precedence, letting go of our time and talents to share them with others, letting go and trusting that there is enough. It's really being a conduit for passing good on through the world. At a Zen Buddhist temple in Japan, they say there are 7 kinds of generosity: to look at someone with gentle eyes, to smile with a gentle-hearted face, to speak kind words, to work with sincerity, to have deep concern for others, to give your seat to elders, and finally, to welcome people with a kind heart. And I think these 7 acts are all about paying attention to others and treating them with respect. It's our first principle in action. And I think gratitude grounds us in the 7th principle, and generosity is a way of living out our first principle. And being generous really doesn't require great wealth. It just depends on that sense of personal abundance and a desire to share that abundance, to share it with others. Many years ago, Mark and I took our son Silas to Montreal for a weekend to see his favorite hockey team, the Montreal Canadiens. And we were there on a very bitterly cold January weekend, and we were out one night wandering in downtown Montreal. And Silas was staying warm in his red Montreal Canadiens hat. And a street person stopped us on the corner in a raggedy jacket with no gloves or hat despite the bitter, bitter cold. And his face was carved by years of struggle. And he asked us where we were from and why we were there. And as we chatted, Mark and I started digging in our pockets for change. But then the man offered Silas $10 to spend on a game souvenir. He insisted that Silas take it despite obviously needing that money himself. And he said that something good had happened to him that day, and he wanted to pass his good fortune on. So he wanted my son, a stranger in his town, a fellow Montreal Canadiens fan, to experience a gift the way he had. And so, of course, we took the money and we thanked him profusely, and we walked away from one another, all a little happier, the world a little better for a stranger's generosity. Anyone can be generous who has a generous heart. And now we're going to come to a period of quiet contemplation, take our break for our meditation time. And I'm going to ask you to ponder this Nigerian proverb. It is the heart that gives, the fingers just let go. What is your heart open to giving? Where in your life do you practice generosity? And if you're struggling right now to feel generous, then take that step back to focus on gratitude and see if you can make a list of all the things you're truly thankful for. It is the heart that gives, the fingers just let go. And we'll sit for 3 minutes, followed by music from Jonathan. It is the heart that gives. If you see your life as abundant, it is abundant. If you think of yourself as a generous person, you become a generous person. The story we tell about ourselves shapes how we live. And of course, generosity, like any other powerful force, is complex. Some of us didn't grow up in generous households, taught that the world was full of scarcity and we had to fight for everything. And some of us were taught to hold on tight and save it all for that unknown and scary future. Some were told to be generous to one kind of person, but not another. Some of us were taught to give and give without thought of yourself, to sacrifice for everyone else. Some of us were taught to be generous and generous and generous, but to never accept anyone else's generosity. And so our stories of generosity can be complicated. And you might want to spend some time this week thinking about what you were taught about generosity from your family of origin, and how and what informs your views of generosity today. As Unitarian Universalists, our theology says that generosity arises best from gratitude and abundance. So you could think of your life as a market stall. Your resources fill a variety of baskets. Some baskets are filled to overflowing with more in the back. Others have just enough, and some baskets are a little bit empty. Your knitting skills and cooking skills overflow their baskets, while your tech skill basket empties every time that computer screen freezes. And each person's market stall will have a different selection of baskets, and different baskets will be full or low. Some of us have lots of time to give, others just a little. Some of us have lots of stuff to share, and others have skills on offer. Know what you have in your market stall, what you have in abundance, and what needs to be refreshed. And give from your abundance. If you don't have much time, don't sign up to run the school science fair. Just put that empty time basket under your table and offer up something else. We learn to protect that which needs tending and give freely from the abundance we have. We learn to ask the person with tech skills to help and perhaps offer a knitted scarf in return. And this is gift culture. the culture of reciprocity. We give what we have and ask for what we need. And sometimes you'll have nothing left to give and need to hunker down and care for yourself. Then you get to give the gift of letting others help you. Each week, we end the service by singing our benediction. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we live. This is our UU theology. This is the truth of the interdependent web of life. Reciprocity, gift culture. Together we share, and by this we live. And Unitarian Universalism foundationally is a culture of generosity. We come together in the belief that life is better together, that by sharing all that we have and all that we are, we create a community that cares, and a community that helps heal the world one kind word at a time. And each of you creates this caring community. Each of you is a gift. There is a saying that love is like bread. It has to be made new daily. And I really think that's true of community as well. It has to be made new, refreshed, recreated every time we come together. It's certainly made new every Sunday when we gather, by all of you here in this Zoom space. You give the gift of your presence just by being here, the gift of your voice when you share wisdom, the gift of your talent as you offer your skills, whether that is in gardening or music or accounting. And of course, the gift of money. That gift, at whatever level you give, allows all that is UCM to live, to thrive, to grow. UCM really only exists because of generosity of today and of all the members in the past 65 years. UCM was literally built by members coming together and stacking concrete blocks to build the walls. And our Great Halt was built by the vision and dedication and sweat of many people still part of this community and still giving. Just take a moment and think about all the people hours that go into caring for our property, tending to our finances, governing this community, welcoming new members, running social groups, cooking fellowship lunches when we actually get to be together in person, maintaining our website, into lay chaplaincy and promoting Unitarian Universalism, supporting refugees and Pathway and the Compass and the Food Bank, the work that we put into becoming an LGBTQ welcoming congregation, to becoming a green sanctuary, now supporting Black Lives Matter. Think of all the hours you've spent coming to services, to witness the joys and sorrows of others, to lift your voice in song, to offer a kind word, or clean a coffee cup. We are built on generosity, built on generosity, built on generosity. It's generosity all the way down. Aren't we the lucky ones to have such abundance, such richness in our lives, to be given such a gift as this chalice community by our UU ancestors, to have each of us taking such good care of us? We are rich indeed. May we begin with gratitude for all that is in our lives. May we live with generosity this day and the days to come. So say we all.